Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for the final recap of Thousand Pound Sisters season 7, episode 8. Her turkey gobbler's gone. Let me tell you guys something. The way Amy spoke at the end of this episode, the way Amy sat there and spoke about her sister as she sat there drinking a soda where her face balled all up like she's about that life. The way that if I were Tammy, I would have to check Amy because how dare you? Here's the thing. Tammy has been an utter tyrant over various seasons. I'm not going to negate that. I'm not going to say that's not a thing. But what I am going to say is I find it extremely concerning that they have switched roles the way that they have, and that Amy, who had so much to say when Tammy was being nasty and when Tammy was being negative, is now the very person she used to accuse Tammy of. Amy, you have got to stop making every single thing that happens about you. The moment that we celebrated you was many years ago when you got your bariatric surgery done. We were happy for you. And then you kept on messing it up. You kept on not listening to the doctor as you proceeded to get pregnant, not once, but 2 times intentionally. Then you kept on making excuses for the reason why you weren't back on track. Fine. Allow us to now celebrate your sister. Allow us to celebrate the fact that Tammy is actually being vulnerable, that Tammy is actually telling you that you hurt her feelings or saying things of that nature. Amy, you have got to stop crying the moment anyone calls you out on your crap. And the main thing that I need you to do is for you to get some help. You need to get a therapist. It is time because we are watching you unravel before our very eyes. I don't know if it's depression. I don't know if you're lost because you don't understand what's going on with your life. I don't know if it's the fact that you're moving too fast with this man. I don't know what it is, but something has got to give because you just you're just too much. Anyways, do me a favor, hit the like button as we talk about this because after I do this, I need to watch the Thousand Pound Roomies so I could do a review on them. So we begin this episode, you guys, with Amy still being the victim, right? She's talking about her siblings and how selfish they are when in this very moment, she too is being selfish. She's talking about how she's tired of them making fun of her and tired of being bullied and belittled. She claims that what she's going to go do is she's going to see Tammy. And once she sees Tammy and Tammy wakes up, then she's going to go. Since that's what you want to do, then go. Because you, much like Amanda, were on my nerves at the beginning of this. So we have found out that Tammy has been in surgery for over 8 hours. The siblings are sitting in the waiting room and nobody is currently talking with anyone else because we know Chris and Amy got into it, and we know Amanda and Chris got into it, and we know Amanda and Amy got into it. Amanda and Chris kind of seem to get over their thing, but we know that the sisters got into it, right? So nobody's speaking. And as they're sitting there with complete silence, Tammy is still under the knife. She's still under anesthesia. And that is because they have realized that they can't take her off of anesthesia because they are missing a needle. If you know anything about surgery, the count is very important and they count everything. We're not just talking about needles, we're talking about scalpels and different instruments. We're talking about the amount of gauzes that are used. They have to account for everything because if they do not, they can risk something still being left in your body and leading to other problems. So the fact that they're missing this needle is a big deal. So we hear them counting. We hear one of the nurses counting the amount of items she sees, and they're trying to make sure that they can locate where this thing is at. So Dr. Rubin comes out and says that the surgery went well, but what took him so long was that their needle count was off by one, so it was taking longer. He says if this was a thing where we couldn't find the needle, then we would have to proceed to do x-rays or things of that nature to try to locate the needle. But I'm going to assume that they found it since they didn't have to do any of that. So we find out that they removed 10.5 pounds of skin, you guys. Can you imagine 10.5 pounds of skin? That's just what they removed from like here and what her arms and her apron. She still has a lot more to go, right? So Amanda hears this. Amanda is tired. And because she didn't get any sleep and because she feels like she's about to pass out, once she hears that Tammy is awake and it's going to be 10 more minutes, 10 to 15 more minutes until they can see her, Amanda leaves. Now, I will be honest, I got a little pissed off at Amanda because my thing is, Amanda, I understand you're tired. I understand that you drove all this way to see her, but I do feel like you could have stayed up a little bit longer to see your sister or let your sister see you, because um like, for God forbid something happen. But at the same point, part of me is like, okay, lack of sleep for over 24 hours. You're in this hospital, you hear she's okay. You know, maybe she's under medication. So then maybe you don't feel like it's that big of a deal because you know you're gonna come back in the morning. I don't know. You all tell me what you think. But if I'm giving you my honest answer, I was irritated with Amanda initially for leaving because I felt like you could have stayed a little bit longer. So Amy says, well, what she should have did was she should have slept rather than joking people. It is obvious that she couldn't sleep. Not everyone is the type of person that can fall asleep right away. I know myself, it often takes me a long time, unless it's a thing where, we're watching a movie at the house and I'm laid down or something on the couch when I'm supposed to be watching a movie with my man and I drift off like that. Or if it's a thing where, I'm just really, really exhausted. But for the most part, I'm the type of person who takes a while to go to sleep. Like, I can't go to sleep to complete silence. I have to have my little rain in the background or a crime show playing while I go to sleep. Don't judge me. It's just what I do. For Amanda, she couldn't fall asleep. She was probably worried about her sister, and that adrenaline gets you going when you do a distance drive. So she couldn't sleep. Everybody ain't like you, Amy, where they can fall asleep in a matter of moments. But Amy is trying to act like they've joked her so much, and it's just woes me, Amy. So Amanda is back at the hotel. Chris and Amy go back to see Tammy. And Tammy is laying in the bed, face wrapped, covered in a whole bunch of stuff. She has dreams beside her face and everything like that. And she looks like she's been through it. So Tammy whispers as Chris leans in, "Where's Amanda?" Rather than turning this into something else, rather than making this, a thing where Tammy's feelings will be hurt or something like that, he lets her know, like, look, Amanda was about to pass out. So she went back to the hotel room. Amy then proceeds to speak junk to us about Amanda in the confessional, right? Saying how Amanda says she's there for everybody, but she couldn't even wait 5 more minutes to see her sister. I get it. But considering what Amy does after this, Amy is the last person who should be speaking on Amanda, because Chris is sitting here saying, we just wanted to check in on you and we'll see you tomorrow. And you proceed to say, well, you're not going to see me tomorrow. I came here tonight because, I'm not going to be seeing you tomorrow. I got an early flight and, I'll let you know more about it later. Your sister is under anesthesia. She has no clue whatsoever what you just said. All she knows is that she sees you. Now she doesn't. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever for Amy to have left there to get on an earlier flight, except that Amy is selfish, because they could have been around one another and made it work in support of Amy, not of Amy, of Tammy. So then Amy acts like what she's doing is so much better than what Amanda is doing, talking about yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow, but at least I can say that I was there when she woke up. Amanda can't. And the both of y'all are wrong. because both of you should have been by her side when she woke up and later on the next day. So Chris basically tells her to rest. Don't worry about this other stuff. He lets us know that it bothers him that a couple minutes out of surgery, and here Amy is telling Tammy that she's going home. It's just a reminder, once again, that Amy is selfish. So it's another day. Amy and Brian are back together, right? Because, they're just, so much in love. He apparently came and picked her up from Nashville on her flight. She's continuing to act like she's a victim. She says that she's the black sheep of the family. No matter of fact, she's not the black sheep, she's the black flea. It is the poor Amy show throughout this episode, and I'm over it. She's telling him what happened with her and Amanda. And she, out of her own mouth, admits that the gas was bad. She says it was one of the worst ones that she ever had. But she gets mad at the way that Amanda responded to smelling bodily fluids or air, I should say, that wasn't hers. You can't get upset about the way someone responds to you being disgusting. So she's talking about how she was there when Tammy woke up and Amanda wasn't. She just has to keep reiterating that because it's a constant comparison thing with all of these siblings. It's not just Amy that does it, they all do it, right? So apparently, when she left, Tammy got mad at Amy for leaving. Tammy tells us that she does not even remember seeing her because of the amount of anesthesia she was previously on. So that night when Amy came in there, her and Chris, she doesn't even remember Amy being there because she was in and out. All she remembered was the next morning when she woke up that she saw a family text that was sent out from Amy, I guess in the group chat, saying, "Peace out, itches." Meaning you were leaving. You didn't even go to your sister that morning to say goodbye or anything like that. You just dipped. So Tammy let her know she was selfish for taking out whatever went on with her and the siblings on Tammy. And she texted her and she told her that she abandoned her. Tammy feels like Amy's being a big crybaby, and she is. Later on in the episode, Tammy asks her if she's on her meds. I wonder what meds she's talking about, and it makes me feel like she needs to be reevaluated. Someone said in the comment section last week that they wonder if part of the reason why she's acting like this is withdrawal from her no longer using substances. And I'm beginning to feel like it's that, along with a combination of something else, because it's not making sense. And I hope it's something that can be fixed, because Amy's attitude and the way she's just she's very unbearable. Like, I find myself getting annoyed with everything that she says and does, because it just looks like it's moment after moment of her looking for attention, whether it be negative or positive. And I think at some point, I don't know if her and Brian are still together, but that whole situation is going to get old too, because she very much so seems to rely on him too. Does he not have a job anymore? I don't know. Anyways, so we're back in Pittsburgh. Chris and Amanda are at the hospital with Tammy. Tammy lets us know that she isn't upset with Amanda because she understood that Amanda was extremely exhausted from all the driving and the lack of sleep. And because Amanda did not leave the state like Amy did, Amanda came back to the hospital and continued to check on her and be there for her. So it's been a couple of days. Dr. Rubin comes in to check Tammy out and to take off some more of her dressings. He is showing her arms and stuff. So she lifts up her arm and he's showing her where the skin was versus how it is now. And there's a part where he tells her to touch it. And you can see that she's accustomed. Now, I got a big arm, so you can look at my arm. You can see that she's accustomed, right, to having to come down here when she touches her arm. But this time, she like has to keep going to go up to feel her arm. And I don't know what it was in that moment, but I found myself getting a little emotional for her, because the smile that she had on her face as she realized that excess was gone, you could tell it just was a freeing moment for her. So he then shows her her stomach, and he's protecting her privacy because he's holding up the blanket so, she can see the area. And Tammy looks down and she's able to see everything, everything. And you hear her say, God. And I just, once again, imagine for years not being able to see your private areas, and here she is, and she's laying down on a bed and she's seeing it, and she saw it because Amanda later kind of makes a reference to seeing it. So then she says to Amanda, hey Amanda, you want to see it? And Amanda's like, oh, I do, I love this type of stuff. And it just goes back to the way that they were at the beginning of the season, barely talking, having attitudes with each other, to where they are now, where you can tell that Amanda is showing up for Tammy, and Tammy needs it in these moments. So she's looking, and Amanda is so excited for her that she starts clapping, like she's just really, really happy for her sister. So Dr. Rubin lets us know that when it came to her jawline, he had asked Tammy to send several pictures of herself over the years in her adolescence so he could know how to sculpt it, because he wanted to make sure that it made sense for her face. So he wanted to look at the younger pictures of her, but in those pictures, she was still extremely obese. So he was unable to do that. It didn't really serve a purpose. And it just goes to show you how long this woman has been battling with her weight. And it's just another reminder, like, Tammy, I I got to give it up to Tammy. If you've been here, y'all have heard me. I don't think I've done all the seasons, but I've done a couple of seasons of Thousand Pound Sisters up here. And y'all have heard me fuss and complain about Tammy. But I gotta call a thing because Tammy has outdone all of her siblings. And it's not me trying to compare, it's just to go to show you, like, for her to be the heaviest one, and for her to now be the second sibling that was able to get skin removal, and hers was a lot more than what Chris did. Like, it just amazes me at how far she's come. Even in this episode, they showed clips of her when she was larger in size to where she is now. And I just was like, Tammy, girl, you did your thing, girl. I am so proud of that girl. And I think a lot of us are. And I need to make sure that I go on one of her pages on Instagram and let her know how proud I am of her. I don't it's not of significance, but I feel like it's just further encouragement. Like, girl, we see you. You've done your thing. People are real quick to put something negative under someone's post. So I'm gonna make sure I put something positive. So they remove the bandages off of her face. And Chris says that he just wants his sister to look in that mirror and feel good about the reflection, feel good about the person who is staring at her. And even though she's swollen, you can immediately see the difference. You can see that she doesn't have the excess skin here. You can see that this is pulled and her cheekbones are up. She looks good, even swollen. And then we get a Tammy in confessional who is smiling, and we're seeing her new jawline and her new neck and everything. And she's all smiles as she talks about her new body and how weird it was for her the first time she saw it, and still is weird for her. She then thanks the doctors and the nurses for the work that they have done and for helping her. And they're like, you were a great patient, which it does seem like she was. So Chris says she might not have said it in that moment, but Tammy is really taking in all of the differences, and it's a lot. By the time she's done with all of this, he says, after she gets her additional stuff done, her new nickname is gonna be Barbie. And I just was like, Chris, you better, be happy for your sister. And he was. So right before Tammy is about to leave the hospital, her girlfriend Andrea has sent her a bouquet of flowers. And it makes Tammy a little bit emotional because her girlfriend couldn't be there for her, but they've still been communicating, and she was thoughtful enough to send that. So we see Tammy leave the hospital, and Chris decides as they're in the vehicle that he is going to pass one of the loudest, most obnoxious gases ever. And his sister's like, all right, now Amanda's like, don't be like Amy. But he swears it's nothing like Amy's because Amy smelled like somebody was gonna die. I told y'all before, I'm not into that. I'm not into the loud releases and things of that nature. I'm not saying that it's not natural. It happens sometimes. You may joke around a little bit here and there with your family members, to each his own. No judgment. But when it gets to the point where it's smelly and you're doing it in mixed company, then I am judging you. Anyways, so they get to the hotel and Tammy is walking. We find out that Chris and Amanda are going to be leaving because they have to get back to work. So a nurse is going to be staying with Tammy to monitor her for the next few weeks, which it ends up being less than 2 weeks. All right. So we're back in Kentucky. It's 8 months until the wedding date that Amy and her fiance have set for Halloween. They're going to be going to a wedding expo. It's all this talk about having the asylum and the wedding at the asylum. Like, she's continuing to talk about it. And we find out that she hasn't even checked to see if they would allow her to do a wedding there. So they're going to be going to the expo at the library to determine if there are other venues that they could have as a plan B. So every person that she's talking to, she's talking about how she wants a haunted venue. You can dress up a venue and make it look any way you want. I've seen gothic like wedding decor. I've never been to one, but I like looking at those, posts and stuff like that, like designing things and stuff like that on social media. So I've seen it done. So it's not that you can't do it. It's that you keep saying hunted this, hunted that. So she lets them know she wants it to be gothic and she wants to have taxidermy there. So she's telling every single table this, and they're getting different reactions. The people are being pleasant, but they're all like, okay, this is foreign to us. We're not expecting this, right? Nobody is keen on their idea, but for her, this has been a great day because unlike her family, these people support her. Those people don't care about what you have going on. They want the money, honey. So whether you do it gothic like or not, whether it's traditional or not, as long as you utilize their venue or their services, they're going to be good. So Amy is continuing to act like she can't say or do anything without her family having a problem with it. And she hopes that she can celebrate Tammy coming back without there being an issue. So we get back to Tammy, and after a week and a half of her being there by herself, Amanda has come to get her. I think that they drove back because when they were leaving, it said 9 hours later. So I'm going to think that they drove. Um, as she's walking, she's talking about how her walk is better, that her legs are still the way they are, but she's not leaning as much forward. She even talks about how at first her phone didn't even recognize her to open itself up. And that goes to talk about the changes in her face. It happened, I think she said, for a couple of days. So they all wait outside, the siblings, for Tammy's arrival. Amy says, even with her being blind, as Tammy steps out the car, that she can see, excuse me, the difference in Tammy. It's that significant. Misty is standing there and she is in awe of her sister. Like you can see it written all over her face. Because Misty doesn't do a whole bunch of smiling and things of that nature normally when she's out there with them. But she is smiling and her eyes are beaming as she looks at her sister. And she's like, Tammy, you look good. You look really good, Tam. Like you look really good. So she tells us, Misty does, that she thinks about how before all of this, Tammy was over 700 pounds, how they couldn't even get Tammy to walk to the mailbox. And now she is over 500 pounds lighter, and she's just so proud of her. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I felt myself getting teary eyed in that moment because they were showing previous clips of Tammy, and she was struggling. So she gives hugs, everybody leaves, and Amanda goes inside and she's like, all right, sis, let's get you settled. Once again, Tammy and Amanda have come very far. Amy says a lot of negative stuff about Amanda, but here Amanda is making sure that her sister is good. So Amy wants to have Tammy over for lunch. Chris, Tammy, you got to start learning how to drive, boo, because you're making all these things. I hope driving is one of the things that you add to your list, especially because you won't have to rely on other people. But anyway, Chris is picking up Tammy so he could drop her off at Amy's. So as he drops her off, he says, "Look, um he tells us he doesn't want to stay because lately Amy is so easily offended. So he tells Tammy, when you talk to her, try to remain calm. If she yells at you, don't yell back at her. Basically, be the bigger person." So Tammy lets us know that she is nervous because ever since the proposal, they have been having a rough time. I wonder how much time has transpired since the proposal. So Amy has what looks like some type of fried boneless chicken, I'm not sure, and this humongous salad that she has on like a pizza plate. So as she's eating lunch, I don't see Tammy eating, I just see Amy eating. As she's eating lunch, she's making excuses to Tammy as to why she left. Once again, telling a lie about how Chris and Amanda were making fun of her and she was tired of being made fun of, saying that she asked them to quit and they kept going. So she decided to go home and be around people who don't make fun of her and who love her. So she chose to leave so she wouldn't end up in a fight. Did TLC cut something out? Because that is not what we saw. What we saw was Chris being frustrated with you because you were talking about this stupid wedding thing while he wanted to focus on his sister. We saw Amanda being frustrated with you because you were passing gas and you got annoyed with her just because she was gagging from the way that it smelled and she made a comment about it. How is that picking on you, Amy? Amy, you got to stop with this. You really, really do. You really, really do. So Tammy tells her, I get all of that. Maybe they were picking on you, but by leaving, you took it out on me. You could have stayed there and not been around them. She could have. She says, I didn't do anything to you. That's when Amy says, you recorded. Who recorded the video in the car of me on the way to the airport? Which it was Tammy, because in that video, Amy is in the backseat asleep. Tammy holds up the phone and is like, she's always sleeping. She's always sleeping. And Chris is like, send it to the group chat. So they send it to the group chat. Tammy says, you've made fun of me. And I was about to be like, Tammy, let's not do a tit for tat. But then what we find out is when Tammy was in the hospital, somebody, I don't know if it was Tammy or what, sent a picture of Tammy with her head wrap and everything on. So Amy proceeds to send a picture of her son Glenn with a diaper wrapped around him saying that he looked like Tammy. Tammy tells us if she can't dish it, if you can't handle it, don't dish it. Something along those lines. Like she which we know Amy can dish it, but she can't take it. So now, because Tammy calls her out on that, now Amy is doing what she does best, which is whenever she gets called out, she's crying. From now on, I'll just stay away. And Tammy's like, from now on, I'll just stay away. Y'all don't want me around. Y'all don't even want to be at my wedding. So why should I be near y'all? It's always my fault about everything. Everything is always my fault. So Tammy walks out and is like, look, I can't do this. She's not taking accountability for her actions. She thinks it's hard for her to see her being successful. Tammy thinks it's hard for Amy to see her being successful and being more successful than her. She says the jealousy is stupid and childish. I don't know if this is Amy being jealous. I think that there are moments where Amy is jealous, but I don't think that this is one. I think that Amy just really wants to be the center of attention, and when she's not, she struggles. This is supposed to be the 1,000-pound sisters, and you all originated as two sisters who wanted to do bariatric surgery. And then after the bariatric surgery, the goal was for you all to get skin removal. You and her brother have since done that. Amy is not on that course. Amy actually looks like she's getting bigger as we're watching the season go on. And I think that Amy has gotten herself into a pickle and she needs help. And I mean like actual help, because that 14% is showing more and more and more, right? So She's like, let me go back in. She should have calmed down by now. I'm gonna go back in, right? Tammy says she got herself right and she feels like it's her sister's turn, which it is. So she comes back in to see if they could talk, and Amy is saying that she doesn't have a family anymore. And Tammy isn't going for it because it's not true. So she tells her that she's hurting her feelings, that she has to talk to her like a human. And she's like, Amy, you got to stop this whining crap. Like, you got to stop. She's like, are you taking your medicine? She's like, yeah, and then next thing you know, Amy's talking about being bullied again. And Tammy says, let it go, Elsa. I said, not Elsa. It was the way Tammy said it. So Tammy's like, I miss the sister I had. You're turning into somebody I don't want to be around. Now Amy's crying again about her wedding and them not wanting to come to her wedding. And Tammy's like, look, I'm not coming to your wedding if it's a haunted location. I don't want to deal with demons and stuff like that. So Amy's like, but you have hunted dolls. You have hunted dolls. And Tammy says, they aren't demons, they're spirits. I said, what is going on here? I don't want neither. I don't want a spirit in my doll. I don't want a hunting eye. I don't want none of that stuff. Stay away. No, but okay, because y'all know last season that was the thing that Caleb was talking to Tammy and whatever else. So she's like, look, I don't want whatever is floating around in the asylum, Amy. I don't want that coming back to my house. That's fair. You have to respect people's beliefs. Whether or not you believe it is one thing. If you're talking about a belief and this is why they're saying that, then you just got to let it go. Would it be nice for her siblings to attend her second wedding? Yes. But Amy is really making this thing so much bigger than it has to be, in my opinion. Y'all tell me yours. So Tammy is yelling, if you have it somewhere else, then I'll go. Hell, I'll even be your bridesmaid if you have it somewhere else. But all Amy hears is they don't want to go. And Tammy's like, this is exactly what Chris was talking about, that you're not listening, because he said the same thing, that if it's somewhere else, then he'll go. So Tammy ends up walking out again. But there's something weird about this, because one minute she's out, the next minute she's in, the next minute out. Anyway, so she's in the car crying about how her sister might already have something attached to her, something evil attached to her. And I just feel like it's negativity. I think that there is a lot of heaviness that Amy is going through. And because she's in such a bad space, she's kind of pulling down others with her in that space. And I don't know if Brian kind of seems like an enabler to me. Like, he's the type of person who will appease her for now. I don't know how long it will last, but that's what it's giving to me. Y'all tell me what you think. So after all that yelling, Tammy is in the dining room by the table in the messy house, putting her jacket on or whatever. And Brian comes out after all that yelling. He's like, what's up? And Tammy lets him know, I don't want to hear your mouth. If you came out here to say something to me, you can go back. I was like, what? He's like, I came out to check on Amy. So Tammy says she's being an immature baby as usual. And I think she is. Amy is outside. Brian comes out there and she's telling Brian once again that she's all alone. She has no family. And she proceeds to say, F Tammy. Then, as she's sitting in confessional, drinking a huge thing like this, and you know it ain't nothing in there but soda, she says, you lost a little weight and now you want to judge me? I said, oh, okay, maybe she is jealous. Let me continue. You need to be taken down a couple of pegs, itch. She takes a sip and she says, I will take you down a couple of pegs. And that is how they end the season. Tammy all distraught and crying and stuff. Tammy has showed us more emotions in this season than she has the entire time. And I think it says a lot. I think that Amy is on this downward spiral, and I won't be surprised if next season we see that she has a whole nother man. You guys, let me know what you thought overall of this season. Since this is the last one for this one, what are you rating this season? Out of from a 1 to 5, how many stars you giving it? Imma give it 3. I think it was solid. I wanted a little bit more. Like, for all I care, you could show me way more Tammy stuff as far as her skin removal and all those other things, but I'm interested in seeing what comes next. You guys, thank you so much for rocking with me. There's other things that are on my channel. Go ahead and take a look. I'm about to go watch the 1,000 Pound Roomies, and I'll see some of you again in a couple hours. Until next time.